Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopi Janabalava Girivaradari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamuna Tera Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamuna Tera Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Shri Radha Madhava Astasaki ki Jai
Jai
Chanduraya Mandir ki Jai
Jai
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naranchaiva Narottamam
Devam Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim
Tato
Vyasam
Jayamudirayat
Tato Jayamudirayet
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om
Vasudevaya
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
So who do
Vasudevaya
we have today here? Today, hoy día, nuestra clase es in English. Okay, message. Rosa Elena Canchucaja dice hola, España. Okay, and here we have 18 participants. Okay. Srinivas, can you be our chief guest?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. Sarvashtra Prabhupada. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. Sarvashtra Prabhupada. Yes, it's my good fortune.
Where is your gross material body?
It is in my room, Guru Maharaj, second floor, the Benton Street, New Haven.
Okay. We'll go to Google Maps and take a look at you. Okay. So here we have Srimad Bhagavatam 1932, first canto, and 1:8 is the prayers of Queen Kunti, trying to restrain Krishna from going, like that. Yeah. But she's not successful. No, Krishna is still going to leave. But then Yudhishthira asks him to stay. Then he stays. Oh. many subtle stories. So then Krishna stays for some time, and I guess during this process, Bhishma Dev leaves his body. Gita Jayanti is coming soon, no? Yeah, it's next to Kadasi, I think. Yeah, so that's when the Battle of Kurukshetra was, in the middle of winter. Yeah. And then Bhishma Dev left his body, I guess, after the sun started to head south, something like that. Some days, no, Vishnu something. Yeah. Okay. And so then Yudhishthira and the Pandavas and everybody went to see Bhishma Dev when he was about to leave. And he was in the same process we are. He was consolidating, right? He had to finish everything off. Yeah. And so Yudhishthira, well, different things. Krishna asked Vishnudev to give instructions to Yudhisthira how to do his job. What was Yudhisthira's job? One word.
He's the emperor of the world.
That's two words. Okay. Yeah.
Emperor.
He was the emperor. Yeah. Prabhupada says they say that they have Raja Yoga, yoga for the kings. He said, that's all right. We have Emperor Yoga. That emperor has many kings. One very, very famous emperor in India was Maharaj, what's his name? Bhoja, Emperor Bhoja. And he has commentaries on, on the different rasas in drama, commentaries on Vastu. And he had many kings under him like that. So he was emperor. So Yudhisthira had this big job, this very difficult job. So Krishna asked Vishnudev to give him instructions on how to do his job. And Vishnudev is familiar with all the different authorities on Danda Veda, because the king has the Danda, for keeping people in line. Ayurveda, medicine, Vastu Veda, architecture, Gandharva Veda, singing, dancing, and drama, the fairies. And then Danda Veda, political science, Dhanra Veda, military science, how to use weapons and so on. Yeah, that's a part of Danda Veda. Yeah. So he was familiar with all the other acharyas, Parasara Muni, Manu, and it's not just our opinion, but I think other general scholars in the Vedas, they say yes, Vishnudev is the greatest authority on this. So he said, well, how can I instruct him in the presence of you, who are the father of all knowledge? And Krishna kind of blushed, being Vishnudev's grandson, blushed, yeah, and said, that's okay, whatever I am, but I want you to do it. I want you to get the credit. So Vishnudev started crying a little bit, big warrior guy. Okay, so I guess it went on for some time. As far as I know, the most famous standard translation of the Mahabharata and complete is Ganguly, by Ganguly. It's about 17 volumes, 20 volumes. And it's maybe a 10-point type, not big, not too small. But the different paravas, cantos, paravas, skandhas. So the Shanti Parava is after everything's over, now it's peaceful. And most of that, as far as I know, is Vishnudev's instructions to Yudhisthira. In the Bhagavatam, it's just about 2 verses, 3 verses. It says that he then gave instructions to Yudhisthira. But in the purports, Prabhupada has 2 very intense, really nice things about Varna Ashram. And they're just wonderful for classes on sociology, political science. It's just, and there's Dharma of brahmacharis, Dharma of Raj kings, Dharma of ladies. But they're very short. There's 2 or 3 sentences each. But if you just read these, it's like so many problems that we've had in ISKCON. If we just had read this, and For example, it says that brahmachari ashram is for training for both the attached and detached. In our Gurukulas in the beginning, our thought that, everybody's a devotee, everybody's going to be detached. So we'll train them all for taking sannyas, maybe not even get married. Okay, renunciates. But that wasn't the situation. And many of the kids were so frustrated and so unhappy. It was just totally unnatural. What's the word? It wasn't proper for them. And so many problems resulted. It's one phrase. Okay. Does anybody know what Vishnudev says, Prabhupada quotes in the purport, is Dharma for ladies? 1 sentence, 2 sentences. You can read it and find out. That'd be nice to know. Yeah. Prabhupada says there, Vishnudev says, women as a source of inspiration for men, as your daughter, sister, mother, father, what else, grandmother, are more powerful than men. So such powerful ladies have to learn how to control this by chastity and shyness. Shyness. Now, it's a problem because in Spanish they've always been translating the word shyness as timidez. Yeah, as shyness and being timid. The timid is a little different than being shy. Yeah, timid is like a little bit cowardly. Yeah. So for 20 years or 30 years, 40 years, they've been translating, and all the ladies of Spain have been trying to be timid. So I've been mentioning this to Hanumatpresaka Swami maybe about 3 years ago. And I think it's been in the back of everybody's mind. He said, yes, you're right. The actual word should be, what should it be? How can we translate shy, chaste and shy? Kasta huh?
Recatada.
Okay, she's cheating. She knows like that. Recatada. Would you mind being recatada? It's a nice word. Yeah, it's like you're not exposing yourself to everybody in public, and now you have some secrets about what you think, who you are. It's a very nice word. So very simple, but if you just read that, Vishnudev's instructions there for brahmacharis, sannyasis, everybody else is just, and it makes it we've done it in classes on sociology and things, political science, universities. He's printed it as a separate little booklet, edited a little bit and formatted, and it makes it just give to everybody. And it's just, you can see when you say this thing about ladies, in modern universities, the girls usually go, like come a little uptight, but it's like almost universal reaction is they become a little bit, bellicose. You want to fight about maybe that kind of attitude, but they also become thoughtful. And that's the potency of the words coming directly from the Parampara. I'm not sure I agree with this, but let me think about it for a little bit. Is that an attitude? I've seen it many times when you're directly quoting Prabhupada's words. It pushes them many times, but it wakes them up. They go from the mode of ignorance into the mode of passion. My rights. So Vishnudev consolidated all his work, social work. When Yudhisthira was going to leave the planet, he consolidated his social responsibilities. He put who did he put in charge of the empire?
When Yudhishthir left, Maharaj?
Yes.
Parikshit Maharaj.
Yes. And who did he put in charge of Mathura?
Vajranabh.
Vajranabh, yeah. Who was the grandson of
Krishna.
Okay, yeah. So very nice. So he took care of his political responsibilities. It's interesting. I was looking at the purports here, and Prabhupada doesn't say Vishnudev was a great politician. He says he was a great statesman. It's like a little bit more. Politician many times almost always means dirty activities, egoistic activities. So he was a great statesman. So he took care of his political responsibilities. And also probably his family responsibilities and just saying things. Guru Kripa Das said when people were visiting Prabhupada before he left his body, he said they all felt that Prabhupada was like receiving them, and of course he couldn't talk very much, those things, But they all felt that he was kind of like either directly or indirectly saying, is there anything more I can do for you? Can I make any kind of requests from Krishna for you? Because I'm leaving now. So any final adjustments I should make in terms of, questions, the society has gone. Okay. And then, so he's done that, but now it's time to make his, consolidation with his mind. Yeah. So this verse is very nice. This is the beginning of his prayers. And now this is almost like, I would say, mana. This is mana shiksha, no? What does mana shiksha mean? Okay, she's pointing to her brain. Like that. Yeah. Actually, the mind is in the heart. Yeah. The mode of passion, it moves to the brain, which is more more like, I guess, the mind, The manashiks in this sense usually means both the mind and the intelligence. But more specifically, the mind, and then the intelligence, buddhi, is in the heart, the attitude, the perspective, how I look at things, the consciousness. And then with that attitude, I think about things. Okay, so Raghunath Das has very, very nice advice to his mind, manashiksha, and it's different than Bhishma Dev's. Compare this. And maybe other people too. Be nice to go through and look at people's final prayers before leaving their bodies and stuff. So, here's a repeat. Shri Bhishma Uvacha.
Shri Bhishma Uvacha.
Iti matar upakalpita vitrishna.
Iti matirupa kalpita vitrishna.
Bhagavati satvata pungave vibhamne.
Bhagavati satvata pungave vibhumne.
Swasukam upagate kvachid vihartam.
Swasukhamupagate kvachit vihartum.
Prakriti mupeyushi yadbhava pravaha.
Prakritimupe yushiyad bhava pravaha.
Oh, chief guest, can you chant and we'll repeat?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Iti mati rupa kalpita vitrishna.
Iti mataropa kalpita vitrishna.
Bhagavati satvata pungave vibhumni.
Bhagavati satvata vipungave vibhumni.
Swasukhamupagate kvachid vihartum.
Swasukam upagate kvachid vihartum.
Prakritimupe yushiyad bhava pravaha.
Prakriti mupayeshu yadbhava pravaha. So, what is this meter? It's not Anustup and it's not Basant Tilak.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, it is not one of those we are used to. It has
What is it?
The name is Pushpitagra, but I don't know how to pronounce this thing. I mean, how to properly recite.
Itimatira pakalpita vitrishna. That works pretty good. So what is it again? That's a Sanskrit name?
Pushpitagra.
Pushpitadra. Is it coming from pushpa, from flowers?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah.
So what does it mean, Pushpitadra?
Pushpitagra.
Agra.
Agra means like, the beginning.
Oh.
Maybe the early flowering season, something like that.
Autumn season. So it's Pushpitagra?
Yeah, Pushpitagra.
Pushpitagra. And Vasant Tilak is Chintamani Prakarasadma. And Tilak means ornament, adorno. And so Vasant Tilak means the ornament of spring. Yeah. So they're very nice meters. And this one is Pushpitagra.
And they have different number of syllables. The even ones and the odd ones, there's a different number of syllables. There's an extra syllable that comes out in the odd ones. Yeah.
So Prabhupada says that Sanskrit grammar, poetry, rhetoric is not whimsical. They're very, very nice rules you can learn. And has different effect on the body. So many nerves in the mouth. So when you're chanting properly, your whole body becomes stimulated. Yeah. Okay. So what do you think the word sattvata means?
Sattvata means devotees, Guru Maharaj. Sattvatas are the devotees.
Okay. I looked up learnsanskrit.cc, and about the only definition they gave was a devotee of Lord Krishna. They're not like a very devotionally inclined place. But they said it's Sattva. Okay. Okay. Vishnudev said, let me now invest my thinking, feeling. Oh, there we go. Okay. Thinking, feeling, and willing. It doesn't say that in the in Matthias says here Matahi, you know, Matir Mama. But Prabhupada translates it as thinking, feeling, and willing, which may very well be because Sridhar Swami's commentary includes that. Vishnudev said, let me now invest my thinking, feeling, and willing. So now we're getting to consolidating, not just the society, the family, the personal possessions, but the mind. Let me now consolidate my thinking, feeling, and willing, which were so long engaged in different subjects and occupational duties in the all-powerful Lord Sri Krishna. So it's very nice looking at these things again and again, and focusing on the Bhagavatam in more detail. And if we do that, then automatically the Bhagavatam will guide us where to study, where to learn more. What's his name? He's the Veda Vyas for Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. What's his name?
Vrindavan Das Thakur?
Yes. So what is Vrindavan Das Thakur's only desire?
Is to study Srimad Bhagavatam with Nityananda Prabhu, life after life.
Yeah, Vrindavan Das Thakur said, my only desire is to study Srimad Bhagavatam life after life with Lord Nityananda as my teacher. Okay? Yeah, you don't need anything else. Nothing else. Yes. Yes. So, going through this again and again, these first cantos. And Mother Madhumati, she gave very nice class on Monday, very, very nice class on Bhishmadev. And then we continued that night by showing our Bhishmadev movie, with Oscar Nutters. And then yesterday morning we gave class and look at we did an overview of all the prayers. And the overview, he's starting off, with a kind of general description of Krishna. And he's not talking about, he knows conjugal love. He'll talk about that. Krishna is dealing with the gopis. But people knew about these things. They were getting some news, and especially from different people who know these pastimes, and maybe from Rohini. It's a little confidential, but he knew about these things. But his rasa, everybody has to be in one of the 5 principal rasas. So what is his rasa? Friendship?
Guru Maharaj, it is Dasya.
Dasya. He thinks of himself as a servant of Lord Krishna. Okay, but then you can have 7 secondary rasas. You have to have a primary rasa to base it on. But what is his secondary rasa?
Virya rasa.
Virya, which is, okay, in Spanish? Huh? In English, chivalry. In Spanish, caballero. Huh? Caballerosidad. Yeah. One time in the great city of London, which still has tremendous power controlling the entire world, they Shamasundar built the altar for the new temple. They got a very nice place in Bury Place, and right in London. And George Harrison, he donated the marble, and the person who did the marble for his house picked it out and made a very beautiful marble floors, work of art. And Shamasundar built a very, very nice altar, very big, with big columns and stuff. And then when they did the inauguration, somebody from the Lord Mayor of London's office was there, a senior honorable official, and so many people, and even George Harrison. And Mother Malati says that Prabhupada was giving the lecture, I guess, like that. Maybe they already had the fire sacrifice with the bathing, the curtains were closed, and they were dressing the deities, Radhalanda and Ishwar. And they were behind the curtain. And Prabhu's Vyasa was just, next to the altar, facing out towards the audience the same way, kind of. So from the altar, you could see Prabhupada, and he was turned a little bit. And they could tell that Prabhupada was coming to the end of his lecture, and they weren't finished yet on the dressing, so they were really pushing very quickly. And he said one devotee who was helping, he stepped back and hit the column, At that point, they realized that Shyamasundar was a good artist, but he was not a good carpenter. Because the thing just started to fall down. He did not have it set up strong enough. And it was a big thing, and it would have smashed right on top of Radharanda and Ishwar, and right during their inauguration, would have smashed the marble into pieces. So she said, Prabhupada in one moment came off. Everybody, she said, this was suddenly was shocked and frozen. Time and space stood still. It was just like, incredible, cosmic moment. She said Prabhupada came off the altar, off the Vyasa, and immediately went right towards, Radha Ishwar, and I think with his right hand or something, left hand, I guess he cleared the paraphernalia. With his right hand up, he stood up and took Radharani's hand, and with his left hand, he held up this entire column by himself, standing there. And she said it was the biggest expression of chivalry she'd ever seen, And it was like, oh, madame, mademoiselle, mademoiselle, please let me help you. It was like that, some gentleman, some lady is about to fall into the street, and some gentleman grabs her hand, But it was like such respect and, dignity like that. Please let me help your hand, hold you like that. And then everything went back into normal speed. And then 4 people grabbed the altar of the column. And what Prabhupada was doing with his left hand, and 4 people required to get it back in place again. So it was one moment, of remembrances of Srila Prabhupada. Just Bhishma Dev, very much in this mood of chivalry and these kind of things like that. So when Draupadi was dragged into the assembly, and they were trying to desnude her in public, which is the most catastrophic thing that can happen to a lady. It's just, Prabhupada's, to save her honor after that happened. What were her options to try and recover her honor after that? If they had done that to her, just all the respectable people. Prabhupada said the only thing she could have done was commit suicide. It's the only thing she could have done to regain her honor. So there was a terrible situation, and she asked Drona to help her, and Drona just looked at the ground. She asked Bhishma Dev, So in the Hindi movie, Bhishma Dev starts to pull his sword out with his right hand, with his left hand grabs it, the bare sword, until blood is coming out to stop it, because he promised Krishna he wouldn't interfere. So, but he wants to. I don't care what. At this point, I don't care who's the king or anything else. Nobody's going to do this to a respectable girl in my presence. But it was this Hindi movie. Blood's coming out of his hand. Yes, Bhishma. So, very, very powerful person. And okay, but this is how the prayers start off. He starts off understanding Krishna as the all-powerful. He knows about his relationship with the gopis and so many things. But his rasa, everything else, he's going to see Krishna with 4 arms. It's basically kind of like Mahavishnu. Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Mahavishnu, like that. Maybe Vaikuntapati. But he has a secondary rasa of virya, which is more like Ayodhya. Because you go, first you can worship Mahavishnu. Oh my Lord, creator of the universe. Okay? Not only master, but creator. Garbhodakshay Vishnu is a master, but that's not sufficient to get out of the material world. You have to understand that God is the cause of everything. Everything. Even the devil, yep. When I was growing up, that was a problem for most people because, yeah, God's more powerful than the devil, but where did he come from? And they wasn't quite figured out. So probably in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, he makes this point. The conception of God as the cause of all causes is different than the conception of God as the supreme controller. So he's the cause of everything. Okay? He's the cause of your wealth. Okay? Your fame. Okay? Okay. Your health. Okay? Yeah. Breakfast. Yeah. Nuclear war. COVID. Yeah. But if we actually have to know that, practically speaking, how it works and how to relate to it, yeah, it's a big deal. Theoretical, okay, different levels of practical consciousness. So that's his consciousness here. You can worship Mahavishnu. By worshiping Mahavishnu, you become promoted from Shantaras to Dasyaras and Vaikuntha. And by worshiping Vaikuntapati, you become elevated to the worship of. We've mentioned it many times because we read it in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Even our chief guest is silent.
Ramachandra?
Yeah. Leela avatars. Yeah. That's how I remember the quote. Yeah. So by worshiping the Lord of Vaikuntha, no anxieties, simply nice pastimes as the servants, serving the king and the queen forever, going to Disneyland with the king and the queen, going on a cruise ship to the Bahamas with the king and the queen, like that. Yes, yeah. And what is Hanuman's rasa?
Dasya rasa, Guru Maharaj.
Yes, with some Sakya.
Yes, some
rasa.
Sakya. Yes.
Yeah. You knew. I
was thinking of secondary, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. So it's not a secondary rasa, but it's a mixture of a primary rasa. Yeah. Because Ram embraces him and says, "Now you're one of our brothers. After you did this." So it's like, some big guy in the government. He like what's her name? Nitya Kishori's father. Nitya Kishori's father. The big guy in the government. They always give him some important job to take care of, like in the bureaucracy. Okay, so maybe he has a chauffeur. For his whole career, been his chauffeur. And if he's in this Hanuman rasa, after they finish work, chauffeur picks him up and he says, "Oh, let's go for a little drive down the coast first." And they talk about what happened. And so he's always in the mood of being the servant of the driver. But yeah, he talks about him a little bit, discussing things. "Well, sir, you should have told him that. No, you should talk. You shouldn't be so humble." Yeah. So this is the whole thing: is these prayers appreciating Bhishma's mood. And even if it's not our ultimate swarup, it may be something along the way that we have to go through. The quickest way to Vrindavan is through Ayodhya. That's what Narada Muni told Gopakumar. You should go back to Vrindavan. That's your home. So there's the pathway to Ayodhya. Well, why you show me the pathway to Ayodhya? Because that's the quickest way to get there. Yeah. So as we go through the purification, we maybe go through different things until we find that we are completely pure and okay, this is where I belong. Okay, get back to work. Oh my gosh, what happened while I was gone? Oh my gosh, like that. My tool room is a mess. The rats came in and knocked everything over. The kids are playing. So back to work. Okay. Bhishmadev was a statesman, the head of the Kuru dynasty, a great general, and a leader of the Kshatriyas. His mind was strewn over so many subjects, and his thinking, feeling, and willing were engaged in different matters. True for all of us, no? Now, in order to achieve pure devotional service, is this the first time he's achieving it? Yeah. Or has he had it before and now he wants to get it back? He wanted to invest all the powers of thinking, feeling, and willing entirely in the Supreme Being. The Supreme Being, Lord Krishna. Well, because it's actually not in the Sanskrit, it says Bhagavan. Yeah. So Prabhupada is making some compensation here. Because if we follow the Bhagavatam, we know it's very clear. It describes the Krishna as Supreme Person. So he has a right to say this, even though it hasn't been declared yet so clear. Bhagavan, he is described herein as the leader of the devotees, Sattvata, and all powerful. Okay. So Vishnudev is describing him that way. Leader of the devotees and all powerful. Bhaktavatsal. He wanted to, that's why he was going to kill Arjuna, threatening to kill Arjuna, because he wanted to force Krishna to break his vow. He wanted to show everybody that Krishna would rather be known as Bhaktavatsal than Satyavan. Oh, you never break your vow, but he'll break his vow. Although Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, okay, which is actually in English Godhood. Okay, how would you say childhood or juventud? No, juventud, womanhood, juventud, mujeritude. What else we got? Muchachitude, or divinidad, divinidad. Okay, so the word Godhead in English comes from the word Godhood, like womanhood, manhood. So the supreme personality of manhood, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, the supreme personality of womanhood now is. It used to be Madonna. I think she's kind of gone on now. Who is it now? Yeah, so who's the supreme personality of Godhood, of Godhead? I asked Virabahu about this in the translations, and he was excited. He said, yes, you're right. The actual translation, I think he told me, he said it should be La Suprema Personalidad de Divinidad. La Suprema Personalidad de Divinidad. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar, the Supreme Personality of Lord Chaitanya. The Panchatattva. I said that's the divinidad. Yes. Because many people don't know what the word means. Lord Krishna is the original personality of divinidad, of Godhood. Okay, the original one. Everybody else comes from him. He himself descends to the earth. Okay, himself to bestow upon his pure devotees the boon of devotional service. Okay, because Balaram can give something, Radharani can give something, Vaitacharya can give something, Mahavishnu, but he comes himself. Only he can give devotional service in the mood of Vrindavan. He descends sometimes as Lord Krishna and sometimes as Lord Chaitanya. Both are leaders. Prabhupada wrote this before he ever came to the United States. Both are leaders of the pure devotees. Pure devotees of the Lord have no desire other than the service of the Lord, and therefore they are called Sattvata. I don't know why. Maybe it has some etymological meaning there. Because they're pure, they don't have any other mixture, Sat. The Lord is the chief amongst such Sattvatas. Bhishmadev therefore had no other desires than to achieve the Sattvata. Unless one is purified from all sorts of material desires, the Lord does not become one's leader. Okay. Was Kardama Muni purified of all material desires?
No, Guru Maharaj, he wanted to marry.
Yes, he wanted, and Lord Krishna said, I've arranged for a wife. She will be a veritable cow of plenty in your married life. Like that. The feminists would also not like this so much. Okay, yeah. Was Devahuti pure devotee?
Yes, Devahuti was a devotee.
She also wanted to get married. Yeah. So, and she was, what is it? He was Yoga Siddha and she was Yoga Lakshana.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I remember you saying that.
So he was a little more advanced in yoga than she was, but she was no lightweight yogini. Yeah. She was Yoga Lakshana. She had the qualities, and he was Yoga Siddha. Nice marriage. Yeah. If you're going to get a higher degree, I would suggest you stop at a master's degree, right? And then maybe you get married. Okay, your husband can have a doctorate. Okay, yeah, it's good. Yeah, yeah. We're talking here. Sugopis there listening. Yeah, yeah. We're here with everybody here. Yeah, with me. You know, Sugopi, you should talk. You can talk about being in school. Maybe you can come teach in her school. Yeah. Yeah. But these are very subtle, very powerful. You have to really understand your position in life and really take advantage of it. You know, many times feminists actually extremely reduce their power by becoming so trying to become so masculine, and nobody appreciates it. It's just artificial. Okay. To some degree, okay. Yeah, I've seen people like that. Girls, that's okay. Yeah, but usually, if you overdo it, nobody likes it. You lose your influence. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Bhishma Dev here. He's they have no material desires. Okay, Lord. Okay, yeah. So sattvatas. Okay. Okay, yeah, we have to become free of all material desires. That's why I was talking about this. So Kardama and Devahuti, the Bhagavatam is full of people with material desires, all kinds of material desires. Daksha had material desires. Who else we got? Sukanya and Chaivana Muni had material desires, you know. And also a very, very nice example, this is in the third canto, because then we're getting into initiated devotees. For the first two cantos, you don't have to be initiated devotee, following the principles. You can read all this. The third canto, no. That's when you got to be following four principles. Otherwise, it is too heavy. Yeah. The story of Devahuti and Kardama Muni is very intense, right? Yeah. He was a very powerful brahmachari, everything else, but he still had material desires. And Lord Vishnu came and said, "Don't worry, you should get married." "Oh, I don't want to get married." "No, it's the fastest way to get free from this. Yeah, but don't fall down. Follow the four principles. A good devotee, marry a girl who has the same attitude." But they had a lot of sense gratification. Yes, yes. When you read that, it's, oh, I can be a devotee and be like them. Yes. Oh, so bad. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a challenge. And for some people, yes. For most people, if we haven't got material desires, why do we have material bodies? Right? Yeah. So for most people, the fastest way to get free from them is just experience it. You know. But as a devotee, right? Yeah. Okay. I don't want to get married, but I do like nice clothes. I want silk dhotis and these kind of things, or nice comforts, a nice place to live. And there's one picture in the New Yorker magazine. It shows a little man praying, and he says, "Oh my Lord, I do not require much, but I do ask that whatever I have should be of good quality." So this is sannyas dharma. People giving you gifts, and you're taking the best wristwatch, the best cell phone, the best, yeah. So it's subtle attachments. Okay, so that's your ashram, that's your position, and you begin to realize after a while that it's actually interfering with your service, trying to have even these fine things. Prabhupada says even on the royal road, there are sometimes accidents. So sannyas is the royal road. Okay, but yeah. I guess for ladies, the most royal road would be Vanaprast. I was recommending every girl should get married. Okay, but if not, you can marry Krishna. When Shalavati, she was maybe like 25, I think, in the ashram in San Francisco. And Prabhupada got a very, very nice deity of Krishna. Somebody gave him. It was on his desk. When he told me this, Krita Karma. After some time, he was working with some devotees, and he said, "Call Shalavati." So she came up and, what is Prabhupada calling me for? A little bit shy. He said, and Prabhupada looked at her and said, "You are too old to get married." And so she was shocked. He said, "So you should marry Krishna." and gave her the deity person like that. It's okay. But if she was in the consciousness where it was okay for her, because we didn't want to get married. she figured it out. It was one time I asked Gaur Gadadhar Devi Dasi, we were there with Lakshman and interviewing people, and we asked Gaur Gadadhar Devi Dasi, which is better, a husband or a brother? She thought about it. She said, "A brother." Yeah. But anyway, she changed her mind. So there's many ashrams. Vanaprastha ashram, you're too old, like, Lakshman, Raman, Reti, okay. There are many, many different ashrams and positions. Wherever I am now, okay, now I become Krishna conscious, and then start from here. Yeah. There's so many options and to adjust. So Bhishma Dev is getting free from his material desires. Maybe he had to be in this position of Bhishma Dev in politics and being the advisor and giving everybody advice and being respected, but not having to get involved with it deeper. So Prabhupada says desires cannot be wiped out, but they only have to be purified. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10:10 by the Lord himself that he gives instructions from within the heart of a pure devotee who is constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. And Prabhupada defines this, and sometimes probably the minimum level, in the service of the deity. Sometimes he translates the word Ishvara as the deity. Because the deity, if you're really serving, requires 24 hours a day service. So then we are constantly engaged in the service of the deity, even if we're sleeping, eating. Okay. Such instructions are given not for any material purpose, but for only going back home, back to Godhead. For the ordinary man who wants to lord it over material nature, the Lord only sanctions and becomes a witness of activities. But he never gives the non-devotee instructions for going back to Godhead. That is the difference in the dealings by the Lord with different living entities, both devotee and non-devotee. He is the leader of all living beings, as the king of the state rules both the prisoners and the free citizens. It's just a nice analogy to understand how things are going on. But his dealings are different in terms of devotees and non-devotees. Non-devotee never cares to take any instructions from the Lord, and therefore the Lord is silent in their case. Necessary results, good or bad. Okay. The devotees are above this material goodness and badness. They are progressive on the path of transcendence, and therefore they have no desire for anything material, right? Circumambulating Tulsi is not material. It's a pious activity, right? Yeah, Yanikani. But it's not for liberation. It's not for going to heavenly planets, right? It's for purifying, advancing in our service. Where Radha and Krishna will say, thank you. Wow, you needed that. Thank you so much. Just at the right moment, you handed us the spoon. Like that. They are progressive in the path of transcendence, and therefore they have no desires for anything. Okay. The devotee also knows Sri Krishna as the original Narayana. This is Bhishma Dev. Because Lord Sri Krishna, by his plenary potency, appears as Karanadaksha Vishnu. So I think he's not worshiping Garbhadaksha or Kshirodaksha Vishnu. He's worshiping Karanadaksha Vishnu. Wow. The more I go through this, the more it becomes clear. The original source of all material creation. The Lord also desires the association of his pure devotees. And from them only, the Lord, for them, he descends to the earth to enliven them. The Lord appears out of his own will. From the Lord Nrsimhadev. Nrsimhadev is in Vrindavan today. He's guarding the gateway. It's Tulsi, right? So he's guarding the gateway to Vrindavan today. He is not forced by the conditions of material nature. He is therefore described here as Vibhu, or the Almighty, for he is never conditioned by the laws of material nature. So when Krishna appears, Prabhupada says, most people did not know who he was. Most people didn't know who he was. And they had different opinions. A great yogi or something like this or that, demigod. So Prabhupada says, some of the yadus, Uddhava, people like that, and maybe Bhishma Dev, some idea. And he said the dancers of Rajal. So Bhishma Dev is like wondering like everybody else. Kunti's conclusion is, her prayers are, Sri Krishna, Krishna Saka. O Krishna, friend of Arjuna. And Bhishma has exactly the same conclusion. Yeah, I know you, and Kunti knows you. I know Kunti. We're a peer level of people. We know each other. But, when we really want to find out what you're thinking and why you have a certain attitude, we kind of pull Arjuna over and say, hey, tell us what's going on here. Because Arjuna knows them better. Arjuna is in a more intimate relationship than they are, and they appreciate that. So they both think of Krishna in terms of Arjuna, Kunti, and Bhishma. So, any questions or comments? Oh, chief guest. You must ask questions for everybody now.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj.
Can you turn on your camera?
Yes. Let me. That's the side view, and there's the front view. Let me flip 1 second. Okay, that's better. Hare Krishna. Can you see now, Guru Maharaj?
Not yet.
Not yet.
That may be because we're in
One
Santa
second. Yeah. I have to push share, I think.
Oh, hello. My, what big teeth you have. That's what Little Red Riding Hood told the wolf. Right? My, what big teeth you have. Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna, nice to see you. Our house is more beautiful than your house.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. The only beauty is behind
Our
me.
house is very rustic.
It's an old house.
Oh, it's very nice. It's perfect for making movies, no? Yeah. If you just sit here, you look nice. Okay.
Yes,
this is Rukmini, Devidasi, and her mother Taranakshi, and their friend Patricia Palomino. Palomino is better, no? Palomino. She's Dirasaki's sister. Yeah. And this is Panchatattva. That's a Mridanga behind him.
Okay. Yes, I've seen him on Kirtans in the morning programs. Yeah, in nursing.
Okay. What is your question on behalf of everybody?
Guru Maharaj, I was going to comment on the Sattvatas. In Jiva Goswami's Vyakarana also it comes up, certain group of letters are called as, because Jiva Goswami gives different names for different letters in the grammar. So there, one of the commentators, his name is Amrita, and he mentions Sattvata. There was a king named Sattvata in the line of Krishna, in the line of the Yadavas. So therefore, Sattvatas can mean the similar to the Yadus, those who are ancestors of Krishna. From one king they are coming. And another general meaning is just devotees in general. But I don't know how to make it right etymologically, because it is Sattvat, which, doesn't quite match to be a devotee. So Sats are devotees, but Sattvat, it's hard to come up. So it may be just a conventional meaning when it is said Sattvatas can mean the devotees of Krishna, not just from lineage, at that one. And the second one was Pushpitagra. I was contemplating more. It doesn't look like a season. It may be more like a tip of a flowering branch or something like that. Pushpita means that which has flowered, meaning a plant may have flowered, but Agra means the end. So it could be the tip of a flowering tree, something like that. So Gopi is commenting on Sattvat, one who is possessed of Sat.
Thank you very much. It's very informative for us. I think for older people who are like 10 years old, 11 years old, old people, 13 years old, 50 years old. I think problem wasn't Westerners wasn't encouraging them to learn to make a endeavor to really learn Sanskrit, but to learn as much as was natural, understand words and like that. But again, it seems that basically, unless you start learning it at 5 years old, that's the best time to learn it. That's the most natural time at 5 years old. And if you don't, okay, then later you can acquire it. And because it makes the purport so much more understandable, because Prabhupada, so many purports are just based upon explanations of the words, like that. Yeah. So maybe anybody else have any questions or comments here?
Hare Krishna, Gurudeva, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Can you turn your camera on? Are you presentable?
Yes. Yes, Gurudeva. Can you see me, Gurudeva?
Yes, and you have an effulgence.
I just have a comment, Gurudeva. Also, the same word Satvata is also came in 1-14, the famous verse. Tasmat ekena manasa Sattvatam patim. So there also is giving of the devotees of the protector, Sattvatam patim. So I think something related there in the mode of goodness or something, or I don't know, Gurudeva. That's just to mention it. And another comment I wanted to is the character of Bhishma. All in all, he knows everything, yet some cases it appears like he is not acting. We say that everything is driven by Krishna, because of Krishna, even though he is capable, he is not doing it. So one hand is being a devotee, capable of correcting something, and why he is not correcting it, why he is putting it on God, or why he is waiting on God, or is it Krishna is driven everything? Bhishma doesn't have anything to say, or is it completely?
Are you referring to the game of dice?
Yes, Gurudeva, I'm familiar with.
No, yeah, because before, it's in the Peter Brook movie, other places too. They'd announced the game of dice. They'd invited the Pandavas, and it's like when something like that happens. President Biden has invited Putin to come and talk about the situation between India and China, or something like that, or the Emperor of China, the Prime Minister of China has invited Modi to come to China to discuss these things. And of course, it's on public broadcasting, and everybody all over the world hears it. So same way, everybody knew that the Kurus had invited the Pandavas to come to Hastinapur in a newly built place, and to get rid of our past, our arguments, and show our friendship and love and affection. And so many people thought, hey, this is not what it seems to be. It's something, And so Krishna, when he saw Bhishma Dev walking by there and the whole situation, he said, Pitamaha, Grandpa, you're a Kshatriya, right? And he said, yes, Devaki Nandana. He said, I want to ask some charity from you. And so Bhishma Dev said, okay, what is it? Whatever you want, And he said, everybody knows that this game of dice, there's going to be some kind of, dirty activities there. The Pandavas, they're going to be doing something, adharmic. And it'll come to you, because that's the thing. Dhritarashtra takes advice from you, you're the grandfather. And so in the end, there's going to be some kind of question, I know, about what is Dharma is going to come up in this thing. So I want to ask that if it comes to you and they ask you, what is the Dharma, the particular Dharma in a certain situation, I want you to promise me you won't say anything. And Bhishma Dev says, all right. So it comes to him, is it Dharma or undharma trying to take Draupadi's clothes? And everybody passes on it. And then it comes to Bhishma, and Bhishma Dev is thinking he's going to say, of course, you idiots. Of course, this is undharma, trying to denude a girl, any girl. But then he remembers his promise to Krishna, and he kind of smiles to himself and says, I can't say And they all think that he means it's too fine for him also. So internally, he's thinking, this is terrible. This is going to destroy my dynasty. It's going to destroy the world. But beyond that, he's thinking that no, the Parameshwar, Bhagavan, he's playing his game, And there's a very, very deep meaning behind this. And I have faith in him enough to let this terrible, terrible thing happen, So that's how great he was. But Krishna personally asked him not to do anything.
Yeah, sometimes it's very puzzling to understand, Gurudev, especially one is capable of doing something, but yet, with the name of, Krishna's word. So ultimately, it's the Krishna's word against any dharma or anything, sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So a point is proven in many incidents that the last word is Krishna, or the final word is Krishna.
Dharma, but Dharma is that's what is it? What does Yamaraj? Yamaraj says, right? Because the Yamadutas, like the policeman. A policeman knows the law. He knows the law. He knows what's right and wrong and stuff. And he may even be no better than a lawyer in certain situations. So the Yamadutas, they knew that. But Yamaraj said, ultimately, Dharma is in the hearts of the Mahajans. The Mahajans, yeah. And so there's Dharma is there. People are very fond of this. You don't have to believe in God to do what is right, but almost always you can give them a practical situation, and then they see, well, yeah, it's very subtle, in such situations. So that's the thing that finally Krishna is the person who can always put it together. So any other questions or comments? No? Yes, sir. We can't hear you. A little like that.
Hello, test one. Test.
Hey, can you share your screen? Your camera?
No camera. I'm lucky I got a microphone.
Oh, okay.
You can hear me thus far.
Oh, now it's good.
Excellent. Just touching down, very nice class. Your comment about Shama Sundar and his carpentry, in that case, there's a lot of parallels between Shama Sundar and Bhishma, by the way. That's another story. But during that time, the height of the London Raja getting things together, he was so overtaxed, he didn't secure all the items on the altar, so he failed to follow through. But he's a decent carpenter. But as in Bhishma Day, I was noticing in the purport how there's so much things going on in their mind. They're multitasking, and it's kind of a tricky thing. The Satris definitely have to have an organized mind, even while all that's going on. But the pastime of Bhishma Dev and the parallels with Prabhupada's pastimes, like with Shama Sundar, are kind of, it's amazing how we all get that experience, even personally.
Yes. It depends, of course. If you're more Brahminical and you do doing deity worship a lot every day, it's very organized, Yeah. And on the other hand, if you start becoming a Kshatriya, then you have your schedules, your plans, and these things. Become a Vaishya, oh my God, then you're dealing with machines and getting things done on time and publishing and balancing the money, and it becomes even more crazy, So that's when you need like a Kshatriya to tell you, hey, this is a limited business, fellow. That's not business. That's becoming incorrect. So the government makes certain rules for the Vaishyas, which good Vaishya appreciates. Okay, we will stop here. And now the ultimate question is, what's for breakfast? Prasadam. Okay, so thank you all, everybody. Hare Krishna. Who's here? Let's see.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Subal Sakadas, Srinivas, Rosa, Ramakrishna, Mitavinda, Gopi, Kirtida, Shkulia, Harsh, what else in your letter? Govinda Pramodini Dasi, the great travel agent. Gandharva, Charles D. Lynn, Chaturatma Palika, Parvati, Carlos Rolls, Jai, Abhinandan. Thank you all very much for your association. Haribol!
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Haribol.
Thank you, Gurudeva.
Say goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Muchas gracias, Gurudeva.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj, hay que saludarlo.
Hare